Hello, this is Carl Schlerman. I am a solutions consultant with Beyond 20, and today I'm going to show you a little bit of how to manage views within your grid in the Rich client in order for you to manipulate data to be able to view data in a different way. This is one of those very basic things that I like to cover anytime I'm working with one of my clients, just to give the users of Cherwell a more knowledgeable interaction of what the client can do for them in terms of being able to change and display the data so that they can get the most meaningful data out of their use. So to demonstrate this, we're going to start in our rich client, and I'm going to go ahead and search all incidents that are out of the box. As you can see, this is our default view from the rich client of all the test records that we have in the system. And if this is your preferred view and you like having more of a summary display for each record, then you can go ahead and continue to use this view. However, I do find that quite a few users of Cherwell still prefer to use a grid view when managing data. So by going to view, I'm able to change the view of our display of incidents to results in grid. Now what this does is that it gives us our different types of columns with all of the data points that we have in our system. One of the very basic things that you can do is you can see up here that it simply tells you that you can drag a column header into this area and it'll just start grouping your data. So for example, if I wanted to grab this owned by team column and I can drag it up into this area, and you'll notice that I now have the two arrows pointing inward to this grouping area. If I drop my column header, you'll notice that now my data is being displayed differently to where owned by team is now broken up into your major classifications, your major categories. And then within those categories, I can expand my data and just experience what it's like to group incidents by a particular field. And as you can see, owned by team, we have some values that are empty. We have some specific teams listed here. So once again, just being able to view our data in a very simplistic form, and I want to use owned by team is that key field to group on. I can simply add that. One of the other things that you can do is you can also group by multiple types. So let's say that I wanted to group by owned by team, but then I also wanted to group by incident type. And so now when I expand my selection here, you'll notice that we now broke down the first level support grouping into an additional two groups where now we have incidents and service requests. So you can very quickly build out your own grouping however you want to best display the data for you to consume. You do also have the abilities to sort each of the groupings. You can see that we have a up and down arrow to sort ascending, descending. So whatever your preference is. You'll also notice that when I hover over these fields, we get a little filter symbol. And that is, well, your typical filter that you'll see in many spreadsheet applications like Excel, where now I can filter this owned by team column and I can select one value or multiple values from the list and further refine the data that I want to display. One of the other things that you can do once you have your grouping set up is that you can right click on the particular field, and now you can see that we have some more options available to us. So right now we're showing the group box so that we can see which fields we're grouping by. You have an option to remember current grouping between uses. So if you find a certain grouping that you want to keep and you want to retain session after session through using the rich client, you can simply check that box. You also have options to expand all grouped rows or to collapse all grouped rows. If you want to clear out your grouping, you can simply select that. And then finally, if you want to reset the views back to the standard default out of the box, you can simply use the reset. An additional feature that you have from within your grid view is the ability to move fields around. So I can simply click on a field and be able to reposition it in a different order. Now, from this menu, I want to be able to add some additional columns to have them displayed here on my grid. In order to do that, you simply can right-click on the column header, go to Customize Columns, and you can see that we have additional columns here. So I can easily be able to add in my call source value. And now we can expand our selection, and now we can see that we're bringing in that value. Additionally, you have the ability to also customize columns to where if you don't have anything in the list, you simply can click on More, and now you can view all of the fields in your incident object as well as being able to see fields that are also in relationships to our incident object. And you can simply just select those fields that you want to use and then click the green arrow and move them into your selected fields. And then you'll be able to pick and choose them and have them displayed on screen. So this method of being able to change and manipulate your columns to display them in any way that you want while viewing them in a grid can be very useful. And you can also apply this same methodology to the different business objects within Cherwell, simply by going into your quick search and changing incident. Perhaps we want to now apply some grouping to knowledge. I can then go into that grid, and then I can go through that same process here, where then I can select, how I want to group things, if I want to apply any specific type of filters. So that does it for this session of just showing some very basic navigation around the rich client and being able to manipulate your data in grid view by doing filters and grouping. Thank you very much for your time, and as always, Beyond 20 has many different videos on our YouTube channel. So please check them out when you have available time. Thank you.